Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to PCM23 Lions. It's episode 150, century and a half mark. And of course, we are nearly about to wrap things up because, PCM24 just dropped yesterday. I'm going to get through this La Vuelta for sure, though. It's stage 15. I believe the rest day is following today's stage. So we actually have a chance to get a little bit of recovery in, get riders a little more fresh. Matoni is got to be that 1 to 2 days away from hitting his fitness peak, which would literally have everyone except Habtum, which is the weakest rider here anyway, on their fitness peak. The plus fives nearly across the board on the expected, with exceptions of Hanoch and Isaacs, whose motivations have dropped off. Now, the freshness side is really important going into the last week, and Sammy Arab is looking the best. He is very good on his freshness table. He's 8th place overall, and those plus fives should hold for quite a few stages, especially with a day off coming. Samuels, he's good still, so it can help him hold that second place, but A, he's a weaker climber, and B, he's a terrible time trialist, and we end this tour with a time trial, likely having him, drop off. And being that he's on the podium right now, riders will attack him. So if we focus too much on him, it's a recipe for disaster. He's got a healthy advantage over Arab. We don't want him to fail. We want him to stay as high as possible. What we would love to see is in a Shimway in 17th on plus fives and good freshness, or Matoni nail a plus five because he's in 10th place. He'll have it for the final days, but I'd love to see one of those two get in the break and have the opportunity to cut that deficit to others and move up, because this is looking like a wonderful team opportunity to really nail down some good positions. But all in all, the most important thing that we are after in this La Vuelta is the high GC finish. We want to crack the top 5 finally. Arab is still our best bet for that, but Samuels has such an advantage that maybe, just maybe, that dual co-leader thing is certainly still going to be an option and a focal point of what we do. Next up for us, a 4-climb masterclass, but the final climb's a lot weaker. So you've got to really just kind of navigate those first 3 climbs. You get through those intact. It's a good day for a breakaway type scenario, but you get through this climb still with a sizable group with some support, you'll be just fine. It's taken a long time today for a breakaway to form, and for the moment it's still looking like it might not be successful, but it does appear that the peloton is finally sitting up as it's gone from a minute 20 to 2:05 here rapidly. But you can see just how exhausted a Shimway is. He's barely hanging on. He was in the first group right off the front at kilometer 0. And you can see this group is disintegrating already. There's a couple riders getting dropped off. But with the peloton sitting up, the intensity should drop. A Shimway is starting to recover, but we are going to start climbing soon, so he could be in a bit of trouble. But for this group of now 21 riders, there's literally only one who is any sort of GC threat, Felix Gall. Felix is 14th, 11 minutes down. A Shimway is a little bit further, 17th at 13 minutes down, but if those two gain time, right, Felix Gall is not a big threat to Arab right now at inside 5 minutes down, so there's a good 6-minute gap there, and we could see a Shimway move up quite a few positions if this group gets far enough away and takes the stage. Even if Shimway himself doesn't claim the stage, he could gain significant time today, but it's going to require a bit more recovery than he has managed so far. We've got a little descent coming before we begin the first proper climb of the day, but it's a little worrying right now. But again, the peloton did finally sit up. Gaps out to 3:18. Now, looking back at our team in the peloton, terrible draw today. We're talking probably a minus 15 or worse for the group as a whole. But most importantly, the two guys who need it, they're okay. Arab has his plus 5, Samuels has his plus 5, but Benuna, he's got minus 2. He was supposed to have a plus 3. Isaacs has a minus 3. He was supposed to have a plus 3. Hanoch is our should have a plus 5. He's got a minus 5 draw today. Hanoch should be a +5. Matoni, he's not yet on the fitness peak. What was his expected? +1? He's got a -3 draw. And Habtum has... Right? He's supposed to be right at a... No, he's supposed to be a +3. He's the other one. No, Isaacs and Baduna are both supposed to be +3. Habtum is the one not yet on a fitness peak, not hit, so +2. He's a 0 today. Arab, Samuels, Habtum, 0s. Others, big minuses. A Shimway, a -2. Like, it's minus. It's not -15, but it is about a -8 to 10. Gaps out to 4 minutes. A Shimway slowly getting recovery in, but they're already on the climb. So that slow bit of recovery on the descent, that didn't help that much. Let's hope the tempo for the climb's not that bad. Somebody's going to be interested in KOM at the top, though. We just have to hope that we still have something left at that point. And this is opening that gap up pretty dang quick at 5:50 now. This is starting to look pretty dang good for the breakaway. We'll have to push a little harder here for a Shimway. Wanting to get water soon, and it looks like we just need to do it now. Back here in the group as well. So looking real good for a breakaway type victory today. Lost contact. A Shimway. 2.5K from the top. We've got to be able to climb it. Group is splitting up rapidly, but we do not want to get left behind. We're pulling guys with us. Felix Gall was among them, but not so worried about him. It's just setting ourselves up to still be in contention. Not necessarily for the stage itself, and I think these 4 should be able to pull back those 5, or these 3 should be able to pull back those 5 over the top here. But we're expending what we've got here. And now it's just 2 of us chasing. With me, Felix Gall. Okay, we need rapid recovery. Get that heart rate down. We're 1 minute behind those guys. He is willing to work with me. Meanwhile, back here. Just noticed we have a situation on our hands. You guys are almost to the top, so let's just 85 this thing. That was a close call. That was a close call. I was not paying attention to these guys. We got the whole team over the top for the first climb. They're okay. Back with the Shimway. We are closing up on the front 5. We've gained about 20 seconds so far on the descent. And I've got what's probably the best climber. Well, Paulus is there. Alonso is there. Okay. Guys that are similar to these 2. Shimway's problem was being in the first trio that got off the front. The guys that came in later came in much later, and Shimway was nowhere near recovered on that climb. So we had to climb at a certain pace, especially when that split occurred. You know, it looks like it was in front of a Shimway where it occurred. 85, and guys are still blinking red. Look, this is they're still at the back. What the heck is going on here? It's a descent, and they are attacking a descent. What the heck is going on? We've seen a split. We're behind that split. Cat 2 climb. I would imagine we can pull those guys back, but we'll figure it out. He's 4.5 minutes ahead at the moment, by the way. Okay, things are back together here, but the tempo is still crazy. We're taking it easy enough that we did get recovery out of our 4 key guys, not the domestiques. Speaking of, not the domestiques. They look like they're not going to stick around much longer. I don't understand why this tempo is so crazy. What about the front is so threatening all of a sudden? You know what? 85. 85 should be fine. 85 should be fine. It's not. Now, a minute 33 behind. Falling back a little bit further, but let them run their own race. Ian Gull can still gain time. Just gotta play it smooth. Hapton begins his fade. Isaacs is gonna fade too. Otherwise, I would have Isaacs protect Arab. But now they're both gonna be solo and yeah, that's Hapton going back. There's Benuna. Benuna needs to be protecting. Hapton actively getting dropped at the moment, and then Isaacs also heading out the back. We've got our other guys still in place. The gap to the front five has grown a lot, but we're still 4 minutes ahead of the peloton, and you can only climb so fast. You can see that Felix Gall seems to be struggling to keep up with us here, but we still need his support, so I'm not going to just ditch him. But not to the peloton. Benuna still here. Guys are back in position. There's Isaacs out. We're down to 103 in the peloton. They seem to have lifted the pace a bit, which is good for recovery and what we need. Long descent here, so big recovery. It's good for Ashimwe's time gains anyway. It's just disappointing that he and Gall have lost so much ground here, but we seem to be going a little bit hard to gain recovery. I'm going to back off. This is not as steep of a descent as you would think. Gives us a chance to get some recovery in. I thought we would have recovered a lot more by now, but apparently it's just not as steep as we thought. Arab is recovered. Samuels is recovered. We're at 71K. We probably need to get water again. Benuna, go ahead. Take care of that now before things get crazy. And Ashimwe can do the same. 250 the gap. Just 20 seconds to a group of 8. Should probably just wait. Wait for them. I'm not going to contribute right now. As close as those guys are now, and as much as we still need to recover, Ashimwe, we're now focused on strength in numbers. I'm not going to contribute, which means he's going to ease off a little bit. Or he might ease off a little bit. Or he'll attack and go solo, and we'll drop back to that group and then leave him behind shortly thereafter when he's trying to climb solo. Gets halfway up the climb and just gets left in the dust. Would love to see that not come back together. They are down into the flat, but it's a very small gap. Those 56 behind are just behind. But if it opens, this would be good. This is that final climb. This is the one we got to worry about. Ashimwe still hanging onto the wheel. Gall has actually pulled out the gap to those 8 chasers a little bit. And Ashimwe, I think we're going to go with the it's better to sit on right now than attack. Peloton now 28 as it splits again. And the other group, that third group now, what was the second group, A2 there, is further behind. It was 40 seconds, now it's a minute 15. These two groups come back together, but it's a minute and a half. So they seem to have left half the peloton behind. And finally, Gall sits up, and it's a group of 10. 4 minutes ahead of the peloton. So Ashimwe is looking like he could gain some time today, but he's really freaking tired before we even hit the climb, which means he is going to lose time on this climb. More important to watch these guys now. If Ashimwe gets dropped, it's fine. He's just going to climb his pace and hope we can, still have a couple minutes at the top of the climb, and then he can recover on the descent and get through that last climb. Problem being the flat. He's got to have somebody with him. Disappointing that Ashimwe couldn't be in that, but again, that was circumstantial. And here is Benuna fading early on this 19.8 kilometer climb at 5.7%, and the peloton of now just 47 rides on. Matoni might be sitting 10th overall, but you are now domestique. Gel. Hanoke. We dropped one rider. It's 9. Look how quickly he's lost ground. He's a minute 44. Clark. 78 mountain. And he is that gone. That's a 82 mountain. 82 mountain. And he is gone. Ashimwe is about to be gone. Let's gel. They're only halfway up the climb. He's going to get dropped here in a moment. He never had full energy here at any point. Tony's gone. And Hinoke. Down to 37. 7K still to go on this climb. Now we're into that iffy territory of co-leaders. Normally we would just go Samuels, protect Arab. For now I'm going to let them go. He's down to a minute. Shimway is going to have to... That peloton's coming fast. Shimway, come on, come on, get that heart rate, get that heart rate. Taking a big risk here, trying to let them both ride solo and both make it to the top 3K to go. Kurtz is coming back. Gall is coming back. You got 5 left of that group, and then Rivera, Chevalier, Alonso, and 2 left, Gino Mater and Nielsen Paulus over the top. We're down to 25 in the peloton. The Shimway is still here. Here comes the acceleration with Trago. Who cares? 800 meters. We are going to make it over the top. A Shimway maybe makes it over the top. But Jumbo Visma, still 4 riders. Movistar still have 4 riders. Italian Oil still have at least 3 riders. What is this, Split SE or whatever? Van Aert's team still have a lot of riders. 25 over the top together. A Shimway still there. Arab and Samuels, and very much on recovery mode right now on this descent. By the way, if you've watched the video regarding PCM24 and the new features, the first look video, mum was the word until it's been released, but now that it's released, I can finally talk about it. So in that discussion, there's a new feature about how they've altered flat ratings and they've boosted protection. The thing about PCM23 was with the stamina and recovery changes that they made to this year's game, or to PCM23's game, this game that we're in right now, the changes that they made, they had to artificially boost flat ratings of most of the GC contenders. And if you look around the field with us, Ayuso, only a 70, but Carlos Rodriguez has a 73. Gregoire has an 80. Petrovic has a 75. Almeida has a 74. Vingegaard down to a 72 at this point in his career. A lot of them have much higher flat ratings than what we have. Arab has a 68. Samuels has a 70. A Shimway has a 73. Those flat ratings, you can see why I'm always having to protect riders. And when we end up solo, we end up in trouble. We are onto the flat. We've finished the descent. We're 7 minutes behind the front of the field. Rivera, Chevalier, not a threat. Like, none of the guys left are a threat. They got back to 3 riders at the front. But 18 minutes down, Palace is 23rd overall. He's the highest ranked. But, you know, these guys are looking to gain some time, and that's preparing for that final climb. And while we've eased off, Arab and Samuels look strong, and Ishimwe is hanging in there. There's just no push in this group. I think, if anything, we need to push on the final. Well, everybody's going to be fine. We're going to try to go recover some time. Yeah, we're gaining on those guys ahead of us. Hinoke leading it out, and then Matoni. We got to do whatever we can to pull back a little bit of time to help him GC-wise. But we're at the base of a 6-kilometer climb here. I don't want a Shimway losing time, but I will use a Shimway. And I think partway up the climb, I'm going to go ahead and do a train and push things on a little bit. See if we can't catch out a couple of guys. Realistically, I should just sit. This is not the kind of stage or scenario to gain time. This is more of just don't lose time. So we'll go defensive. Petrovic attacking. Shimway, sit. You're on your own, bud, but I hope you don't lose time. 1K from the top here. If somebody accelerates, Samuels will respond. It's Petrovic again. Oh, that's the top. I thought we still had 1.1K to go. That did not feel like that was 1.1K. Oh, Shibwe got dropped. Paulus takes the stage ahead of Miholjevic. And Alonso, Mater. 2.4K. There's no sprint to fight for. This is just kind of bringing her home. Just need to be in the group and not lose time is all. There shouldn't be any separation within this. But only a few guys up the road ahead of us. Shimway losing a little bit of time here. And then now Henok gets us partway through the climb, and he is done. Now on to Matoni, and Matoni needs to push this last 6K as fast as he can and see what sort of time he can salvage to his top 10 here as he bursts past Chevalier. 5.5K, let's go 85, especially with that mountain rating and that terrible stamina and flat, and let's see why he's had a bad day. He's had a couple bad draws here in a row, right? He's gone from podium to just off the podium down to 10th place, and he's going to be well beyond that now. 3K to go. We just got to push as hard as we can. It's slightly descent, so he's not going to lose too much time without energy here. He was 15 minutes down overall, but we definitely pulled back a little bit of time there. Or at least lost less. Lost less than he would have. On the stage itself, Samuels was 12th. Arab was 20th, but we were in our group of 9th to 20th and whatever. Fairly small group there, but it seems like none of the contenders lost time today. We don't know that for sure. At least one in the top 10 did, Matoni. There may have been others if they had bad race day conditions. Before we get into the results and the end of this episode, I'm going to talk about PCM24 just a little bit more and what's to come with the new series. I have a poll that should be live now. I'm not starting the series for about a week here, and I've got 10 active games at the moment. I have way too much going on. I'm going to be cutting back. Obviously, PCM23 is going to be deactivated here soon. I'm going to bring this series to an end. But the new PCM24 series, 4 options. Look to the channel for the poll. I'll try to leave a link here in the description for this episode so you can go straight to the poll on what you would like to see for my PCM24 series, which will begin in about 1 week's time. So Palace 39 seconds ahead of Miholjevic. Alonso 50 seconds down. Mater was a minute 21 down, but none of those guys were threats. 4:17 is where we come in for Wout van Aert in 8th place. Samuels, same time. Arab, same time. So they do bring that group in as a whole. Ashimwe, though, 5:30. So he loses a minute there at the end. Matoni, 14:59. Big losses. Big gaps, though, other than the group that made it there. So what's that going to look like now? Gregoire still leads by 8 seconds from Samuels. Arab is still 8th. The top 9 were all there. The big drop was Matoni. Matoni drops all the way to 21st at 16:59 down. Ashimwe keeps 17th with Paulus and Reindering moving up. Nobody lost time in the top 15 except Matoni. No one. We do have a 15th place Piganzoli losing time yet again. So Piganzoli, who was also a podium guy there for a while, is now long gone from that, and he's the only one losing time. That hurts. That definitely hurts. The Matoni getting those couple really negative draws. I mean, look how much time is lost. 2 stages, 2 bad draws, and he is long gone. And no, he's not our leader. I mean, Matoni's a 78 mountain guy, but he's a same as Samuels, who's a 78 mountain guy, and he sits 2nd overall. And both of them did that move to get to the front of the standings. So we got a 78 mountain and a 78 mountain and yet one is 17 minutes down when we've been trying not to lose time. That's how impactful race day condition can be. Arab still very much in touching distance of Pellizzari, Vingegaard, but these front four, other than Samuels, look a little difficult to overcome. And Samuels, of course, is going to be so bad in that time trial, he's going to lose a ton of time. Almeida is a favorite right now because he's a good time trialist. Petrovic is bad, though. Rodriguez, all of those guys are bad, but Vingegaard's going to be tough to overcome. Pellizzari is easy to overcome, especially for Arab. De Vita is not a threat either. So inside the top 9, I think we're now looking at 9 contenders left for this race. Lucas Wells at 7:20 down is too far behind. But remember, we got a lot of mountain stages to come. A lot can change, and there's only 3 good Almeida, Vingegaard. Arab's the third best time trialist in the group. There's 2 that are going to put in good times. There's 2 that are going to be hard to catch. Arab can gain time on everybody else in this group by the bucket load. He could gain 2 to 3 minutes on most of these guys around him. Pellizzari is a sit and duck. Carlos Rodriguez, 2.5 minutes. And the 73 is not the weakest. A little bit tougher. Petrovic could easily lose 4 minutes. So there's a good chance to gain a couple spots to 3 spots in the time trial. And then, of course, Samuels is going to have the opposite problem. He's atrocious at time trialing. He is going to lose roughly 5 minutes. And that's why, even though he's roughly 5 minutes ahead of Arab, as a weaker climber, I just can't take him seriously. Arab is better in almost every way. That's why Arab's still the leader. But 5 minutes is 5 minutes, and there's a 5-minute gap. So hence the co-leader part of I want them both to do well. There's a definite chance there to crack the top 5, especially when we're looking at a virtual 7th or better right now. And De Vita's not a threat, except for as a climber, but not as a time trialist. And Lucas Wells is now far enough back. So basically, with 9 contenders left, we're looking at no worse than 8th. I think we're easily looking at 6th or better, but can we crack that top 5? And there's enough bad time trialists around with only a couple really good time trialists that there's still a tiny chance for a top 3. But Gregoire is blowing that one up by being so insanely strong. He seems to have had a +5 every day. And a +5 on top of a 79 mountain, which becomes an 83 mountain. +5, he's like 86 mountain. He's 87, 88 medium mountain. He's 86, 87 hills. He's got the flat rating. He's got the stamina. He's got massive bonuses piled on top every day. And Gregoire has been really tough to catch. This actually was the first time that we saw that Gregoire didn't look strong. He didn't attack, he didn't put his foot down, he didn't easily ride away from others. He was just in the pack. Could it be that fitness peak is fading? Could it be that he didn't have a +5 in stage 15? He didn't have a negative or anything like that, but maybe he had only had a +2, a +1. Maybe he's fading. Maybe that couple more days, a rest day ahead of us, maybe, just maybe, he's going to start to drop off, in which case he then becomes beatable, because right now he, I think, is the difference maker, right? Almeida, surefire bet for the podium. Vingegaard, he's a little bit far down, but he's going to be tough to beat because he's got the best rating as a climber and stamina and time trial. He has not had a great race, but he is a clear Jumbo-Visma leader, and he's got a strong team to support him. In that team classification, 7-minute advantage over Italian Oil, Telephone, Jumbo-Visma, 15-16 down, half an hour to anybody else. So looking still pretty dang strong, but the Italian Oil is the one team that's could be a contender. And with big mountain stages, big time losses can happen real quick to your third rider, your second rider. Things can change real quick in team standings. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.